Hi guys and welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite minimalism book of all time. It's called Goodbye Things by Fumio Sasaki. I purchased this book about a year ago now. I actually just saw it in my local bookshop. I go to bookshops often, and it was just sitting on the shelf, and I just thought it was really interesting. I'm kind of into minimalism, but I'm not really a minimalist. I'm really good at throwing things out, or so I thought. And I'm always looking for books about minimalism and about organization and about how to keep your home clean and tidy. And I saw this book on the bookshelf and I thought it looked pretty cool. So I decided to purchase it. I read it in about 3 days. Once I started reading, I couldn't stop. And every time I would finish a chapter or so, I'd read, I'd close the book, and I think to myself, I have to throw something out. And then I'd read a little bit more of this book, and then I'd stop and I think to myself again, okay, I need to throw more out now. This book was that powerful. I live in a one-bedroom apartment, so my home was pretty small to begin with. And I definitely have my mum's genes in that I am a big thrower outer of things to begin with. So I'm not really a hoarder to begin with, but I leveled up definitely after reading Goodbye Things. The author Fumio, I think the reason why the book was so motivational is because he speaks a lot about his own life before he turned into a minimalist or he became a minimalist. He says that he speaks about how he was kind of overweight, he was depressed, he was upset, he didn't have a girlfriend, he didn't have much money, and every day just seemed to be a bit of a struggle for him. And he talks about not only his emotional state, but also his surroundings. And he's actually got a few photos that I can show you as well. This is just one example, but you can see this is a photo of his place beforehand and now his place after discovering minimalism. I think he's got a few other photos in here too. Yeah, they might be a bit small, so you might not be able to see, but this is just photos of all his clutter that he had beforehand and then after photos of his space. That's definitely very minimalist. And so yeah, he talks a lot about the connection between his sad and depressed mental state and his surroundings and how they were full of clutter and dirt and mess, and how every morning was difficult for him because he would wake up and think, I've got to do the dishes, I've got to do the laundry, when's the last time I vacuumed my floor? And every day was just a bit of a struggle. And then he decided to start eliminating his items. And he talks about doing so over 5 years. So it wasn't like he woke up one day in a wonderful, inspired state and just changed his entire life in a day. It took him quite a few years. But he talks about his process, he talks about what he threw out, he talks about how his mood and his waistline and his finances started to get better and improve because of him throwing items out. And how he now feels much happier and much lighter than what he was before. I think that plays a really big part in inspiring other people to also throw things out. In addition to his own personal story, he has 55 tips and tricks on how to throw things out, and then another 15 for those who are already well on their minimalism journey and are ready to kind of level up again. And I do like tips and tricks, like on a number of different topics, but these in particular, not only because there were 55 of even just the initial tips and tricks, let alone the additional 15 for those that were a little bit more advanced in their minimalism. The 55 they just made sense. He talks about renting things instead of buying them. He talks about letting go of, I paid X amount of money for this item, so I have to get the use out of it. He talked about letting go of gifts and things that you keep because someone has given it to you and you feel guilty for throwing it out. He talks about finding your own uniform, so particularly when it comes to clothes in your wardrobe, instead of buying all these different clothes and trying to match them together, just finding simple clothes or items or whatever you like and just having a uniform, having a set aesthetic that works for all occasions. He talks about a range of other things, and he seems to really touch on all aspects of life as well. it's not just a book about throwing things out. It's a book about all the little voices in your head that tell you not to throw things out, all the hundreds and hundreds of reasons that your brain may say, don't throw this out. He addresses them and he tells you why, for the most part, generally they're illogical. He also mentions that he's eliminated about 95% of his own possessions, and he has not once missed or regretted throwing out a single item, which I find amazing. In my own personal experience, I threw out, I'd say, about 10 to 20% of my entire collection of items in my home after reading this book. And I wouldn't call myself a hardcore minimalist by any means, but I do tend to be more minimalist than not. An example of my own journey after reading Goodbye Things is that I went through every single item in my kitchen, and if I had more than one of a certain category of item, I threw out the duplicates, which is something that he also speaks about in this book. And in the end, my kitchen's only tiny. I've only got 4 dinner plates, and 4 little plates to begin with, to give you an example. Like I don't have many things at all. But in the end, I was able to throw out enough items that were duplicates for a whole nother kitchen, which I was shocked about. Like I just went through all my utensils in particular. I had, I think, like 2 or 3 different knives, 2 cheese graters, 3 spatulas, 2 wooden spoons, just things like that you kind of collect over your life, and they'd all just end up in this one drawer. And it was only when I actually took the time to have a look at the specific utensils that I had, did I A, realize that I had a number of duplicates that I wasn't using to begin with, but B, also realize that I had a favorite knife, a favorite spatula, a favorite wooden spoon that I would use for the most part anyway. So even though I had these duplicates, most of them, like I wasn't using everything in that drawer to begin with. So I was able to throw out, like I said, enough for a whole nother kitchen, which was quite confronting to begin with, but also extremely cleansing afterwards, because I went through not only that utensil drawer, but everything else in my kitchen. I threw out additional glasses, cups, mugs, knives, like I said, pots and pans. I got rid of quite a few additional ones of those. Chopping boards. I didn't get as far as throwing out my microwave, but I was tempted. I thought maybe I'd save that for a little bit later. Maybe I need to reread the book and then I'll throw out my microwave. But I threw out a lot of things, and that was about 6 months ago. I don't regret throwing out a single item, and every time I go to my kitchen now, everything has its own place, everything is well ordered, and everything is used, and that feels wonderful. So unbelievably wonderful. And I've done the same for my wardrobe, I've done the same for my bathroom, I've done the same for my cupboards where you just keep random items, I've done the same for my desk and my drawers. My entire home, because of this book, has had a complete clean out, and I just feel calm. I feel calm, I feel in control, and I feel like my home has a much more welcoming, more grounded energy because I have done this massive declutter. And like I said, I only threw out maybe 10 or 20% of the items that I own, so it definitely wasn't in any way a cutthroat, crazy purge of everything. It was just a calculated but thoughtful elimination of items that I wasn't using. And that all came from reading this book. So to wrap up this review, Goodbye Things by Fumio Sasaki is my favorite book on minimalism by far. It is the only one that has actually motivated me to do a complete clean out and declutter of my entire home. I recommend it to absolutely everyone, from those who may be feeling overwhelmed from their clutter at home and are looking to just get into minimalism for the first time, all the way through to those who may already be leading an extremely minimalist lifestyle and who maybe want to just get someone else's perspective or looking still for a little bit of inspiration. I also actually recommend it to those who may not be interested in minimalism itself, but who are interested in things like interior design or home aesthetics, because this really it influences everything about the home, I think. The items that you have in your home pretty much make the home. So this book is definitely relevant in those kinds of fields as well. If you are interested in picking up this book, I'll leave a link to it on Amazon. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!